Welcome to episode 16 of Two Dumb White Guys, the final episode of the school year before our summer break and our summer-sodes start. My name is Paul Davidson.
My name is Scott Norman.
And today we are going to be conducting Miss Jerica Brown's exit interview.
Hey,
Bye.
listeners.
And hello.
Bye and hello.
Hello and goodbye.
Much like the Beatles.
Yes. So, we are conducting this interview. We've actually had requests for this interview for a while, even before the students had their hearts broken and knew that you were leaving us. But we have a kind of a collection of things. We've got some questions, just general teaching questions for you. And then we also have the Suggustion Box, and the Suggustion Box is kind of a tradition. We had a little bit of a rush on the Suggustion Box because we finally roped you into this so close to the end of school that we didn't have a week to have the box sitting out, but we've got questions from the students that you can answer as well.
I guess our first question before we get into the Suggestion Box is, for the students who do not know, where are you going?
I am going to Malden. I'll be teaching juniors and seniors, which is something new for me. I've never taught seniors, so that should be an adventure.
It's both a blessing and a curse, the seniors are. You know you are, seniors, that you are a blessing and a curse, which you're originally from Malden, correct?
Yes.
So you're going back to teach your alma mater, even though Mr. Norman booed you, and he's continuing. All right, Mr. Norman, you could stop. You could stop. We know we hate Malden, but...
I have to make the face.
Yes. But we cannot hold anything against you for going back to your alma mater as a person that teaches at their alma mater. Mr. Norman?
Yeah, my alma mater is a long way away, so I don't teach there. But
Go Garfield.
go Garfield.
Lasagna.
Garfield.
You'll get that. You'll understand that reference in like 4 episodes.
Yeah. I do have a question that I don't know if this is in the Suggestion Box or not, but students ask me all the time. We've already had conversations about it. But we do have a bizarre sort of connection that's in passing, and that is we both lived in Germany for a very, very brief moment at the same time.
Yes, indeed. I was born there. My father was in the Air Force and stationed over there when I was born, and I lived there until I was about 9 months old, so not very long, but long enough to be interesting.
How much German can you speak then?
I can say Christmas tree in German, and that's it.
Oh, Tannenbaum, oh, Tannenbaum.
That's the only German word I know.
Ich spreche Deutsch. So, the other question I have there then is, you're born in Germany. How do you graduate Malden High School?
My family's always been from Malden, and that's where he returned once we got back to the States.
Okay.
So that's where I grew up. It's just...
On your father's world tour, where else did he ended up getting stationed?
I think it was just Germany.
Just Germany?
Just
At least for whenever you were around.
Yeah,
Yes.
that I know of.
He's like, oh, we got this one now. We gotta go back to Malden.
Yep.
I got roots. I can't have her speaking German like that weird social studies teacher will be in about 20 years.
So, along the lines of just kind of getting a little bit of a story, and I understand that this is, like we said, kind of an exit interview here, but it's still kind of cool for the students to know a little bit more about your story. We like asking questions about just your teaching career in general, and so we've gotten some interesting stories. I have the question for you. If you look back over your teaching career thus far, well, first off, actually, what has been your teaching career thus far?
Let's jump to the beginning instead of the end.
Yeah.
Let's as Angotti would put it, let's not go around the elbow to get to the hand.
Yes. So
why did you become a teacher?
I have been reading and writing since as long as I can remember. I started reading when I was probably about 3 or 4, actually. And I started writing my own short stories in kindergarten. It's just something that's I've had a great passion for. And as I grew up, I started to learn that I really like to help people too. So I combined the 2 passions into one and decided to teach high school English.
That's cool.
Yeah. She actually went into this wanting to be a high school English teacher, like some people.
Yeah.
Well, I skipped around, and I thought about being a real estate agent, and I thought about being a nurse, but I couldn't get excited about any of those. So something I could get excited about was being an English teacher. So that's what I went with.
All right, so that brings us to our next step of the teaching career process, which is...
So that would be actually, where did you start? So, like, college / alt cert, like, what did you do, how did you get there, and where did you actually start teaching?
I did traditional 4-year college. I went to SEMO, got a bachelor's in secondary education.
Box up.
My first teaching job was at Zenith Hornersville, and I taught there for 3 years. And then I came here to Portageville, and this is my second year here. So 5 altogether.
So, being the resident social studies person, I have no idea the geography of Missouri. So, where is Zenith Hornersville?
You know where Kennett's at?
Yes.
Yes.
Go south of Kennett and you'll hit Zenith.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Zenith Hornersville. It's not Zenith because they had to combine, and the Hornersville people really get mad at you if you
When you
leave off
just
the
call it
Hornersville.
Zenith?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The middle school's actually still at Hornersville.
Oh.
The
Yeah.
elementary and the high school are in Zenith, and the middle school is in Hornersville.
Just like so that Hornersville doesn't feel left out?
I guess so.
I like Hornersville actually had as a continuing on this Boot Hill experience. I actually have a really good marinade steak sauce thing factory in their town.
Oh, is that where
The Wickers.
Oh, okay. What's the
You're thinking strawberries.
Yeah,
That's Hockham.
I'm thinking
That's
strawberries.
Hockham.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking strawberries. Wickers.
Yeah, you're
Like the
thinking too
furniture.
far north. You gotta go further south.
Okay. So,
Close
with,
to Arkansas.
with that being said, then, you started out there, you've been here, you've got 2 different schools worth of experience. What is one of the more interesting things that you've had happen while you were teaching?
Best teacher story, essentially.
Yeah, what is your best teacher story that you've got where you're like, okay,
So,
here it is.
to give you some examples, Mr. Norman's was about the time he was almost genuinely broken by a student in Charleston.
Charleston, yes.
Yeah, in Charleston. And mine was about when a kid took his shirt off and threatened to punch me when I tried to give him a test over Act 2 of The Tragedy of Julius Caesar.
Oh, I don't have any that interesting. I don't.
If someone hears that you're a teacher, what's the one story that you end up bringing out and be like, well, it is.
Here's a cool story.
Here's a crazy thing that happened to me once as a teacher.
Well, there is one story, but I don't necessarily know if it is appropriate.
All right, is it at Portageville or at Zenith?
I'd seen it.
Okay, well.
It was a word slip by a student that I could not.
I mean, I feel like you could censor it and it'd be a fine story,
Yeah.
right?
We were talking about something grammar related. I don't remember what it was, but the answer was supposed to say, does not have a comma. And she says, does not have a something else that kind of sounds like a comma. Same beginning letter.
Yeah. All right. It almost reminds me of whenever I was in middle school, our teacher had a sentence that we were reading that peanuts is an elephant, and it's supposed to be peanuts is enormous, but it ended up being another word. Anyway.
That's just, I feel like somebody wrote that line to be a stumbling block in language. Anyway. So, word slips, nobody's ever threatened you, nobody?
No, thankfully, not yet.
Man.
I've fallen on my butt a couple of times in front of groups of students, but if you know me at all, that's not a surprise.
That's a good story. That's a story right there.
I've just tripped and fallen, and when that happens, I just sit there and laugh for a minute, and then I get back up, and we move on.
I managed at one point to, we all have those little kind of wheelie chairs in our room, and I sat down, and then I kind of leaned to the side, and the kids were all working on something, and 2 or 3 of them were looking at me, because I don't remember what I was grabbing, but it was something at the computer, and I'm looking at them, eye contact, and then I didn't realize I'd leaned far enough that the chair had tilted, and the wheels just slid out from under me. And so it was like one of those little vanishing things. I just went straight down behind the desk, and they all thought it was hilarious, and I was a little disoriented. But yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah, one time I fell and ripped my pants, and Robert Carter luckily very lovingly gave me his hoodie so I could wrap it around my waist. So
oh yeah, we can say his name
90s
now.
grunge
yes,
style.
we can.
He's a graduate.
Yes.
Well, he will be by the time this is released.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a grand total of 6.5 hours
Yeah, we're excited for
the show.
the finale. So we have how you ended up there. How did you end up here? How did you end up teaching here before we do the move on to the next school?
Well, I was living in Malden, and the drive from Malden to Zenith was almost an hour every morning and every afternoon. So I was just looking for something closer, and I saw the opening here. I applied, and it just so happened that Mr. Bullock went to school with my father, so he knew who I was.
Connections. Now, is this another part of the reason why the Malden connection opened up here? Is there some backdoor bullocking happening?
No, there was no poaching.
Okay.
No poaching involved.
Wink, wink. So you ended up coming here then, and we actually do know, like, we haven't actually talked about this so far, but there is a definite reason why you want to be closer to home. What might that reason be? Is there any, extenuating circumstance?
Life with 1-year-old.
Oh, you have a kid.
Yes, a very active, wild 1-year-old.
After school, he's been coming into the hallway, and he's a very interesting little fellow, I will say that.
Yes, he's been playing with Red's kids in my room sometimes, going in to play with the ball. So I have a question that is not on the initial script here, but my wife just gave birth to our first child. He is about the size of a 1-year-old, even though he was just born. And so do you have anything that you would consider pointers that we need to know heading out of the second week of his life here, that we just need to be on the lookout? Young boy, what do we need to know?
Get used to pee and poop. That's blood. That's going to be your life now.
And then in another 5 years, it'll start to be blood. So
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, little boys tend to be very dangerous. My 1-year-old figured out how to climb onto the couch by taking a blanket off of the couch, folding it in half, and using it as a step onto the couch.
Hey, ingenuity.
Yes. So he's going to be as smart as me and as mischievous as his father, which is not going to be a good combination for me.
It could be an exciting combination, though.
I foresee a lot of broken bones in my future.
Wait, in your future and his future?
Our collective future.
Both.
He almost broke my nose the other day. He headbutted me so hard it almost broke my nose.
Oh, my.
Sleep while you can.
Yeah, we had that advice. I'm still sleeping. My wife, not so much. Apparently, I can sleep right through him.
Yeah.
Crying.
Sleep regressions are a thing. So
like he'll start sleeping more and then quit?
Yeah.
Oh,
at about
fun.
4 months old, and I think at about 8 months old, that's when Topher had his. Those were not fun times, but they only last a few weeks. So if you can make it through,
All right.
you'll survive.
So I see.
I'm already looking at
I
some
see
of the
Davidson is
suggestions
already
and-
digging into the suggestions.
and-
I don't know what they are. We got them from the freshmen mostly.
They should be interesting then.
And so I have no idea. We don't read over these in advance, but we can start digging if you are game to dig into the suggestion
The
box.
one that caught my eye that I'm just like, what? Why are we alive? So, why are we alive? That was the first question that caught my eye.
Well, each of us for a different reason, I suppose.
There we go.
We were created for a purpose. Find yours.
Exactly.
So, this is actually curious. This is a question that I did not expect to be directed at you. We had this question a lot for another guest that we had, but I usually get a lot of people who say that you're a nice teacher. However, this question says, why do you hate freshmen?
I don't hate freshmen. Freshmen are an interesting group of children because some of them have begun to mature and some of them are still stuck at middle school maturity level.
Yes.
And it's difficult to combine the two extremes sometimes. Sometimes freshmen, you're just a little bit annoying.
And
no offense.
they've already gotten it from both of us.
Oh
in
yeah,
our stories.
I'm still gonna hate stay where I'm at. I do not like freshmen. Next year, I will learn what your name is, but until then, you're just a body in the hallway.
But it's okay. He doesn't like sophomores either. So
Sophomores are at least more interesting because to build off of what she was saying, like freshmen, you're still kind of like an eighth grader a little bit. You might be a little bit more mature. You might be still in middle school. By the end of sophomore year, they're all young adult. They're all teenagers by that point.
you could say they're sophomoric.
Yes, they have graduated through the sophomore. Where at the beginning of sophomore year, you still have some that are freshmen, some that act like upperclassmen. By the end of it, they're all officially teenagers.
All right. So I think our freshmen just have a complex. Freshmen, y'all have a complex. Well, now sophomores, actually, because you just finished your last day of freshman year. So sophomores, not everyone hates you. Only most of us.
Speaking of that, we're going to build on the quote-unquote hate, but the question is, why are you so picky with our work? It's annoying.
Because it's my job.
And I'm about to say, if you think that's... You just
wait till you get to Davidson's
Just
class.
wait. Take that, freshies.
To be able to express clearly what you mean, not vaguely. Because if you can't express it clearly, you're not going to get your point across to whoever you're trying to communicate with. You have to be specific. You have to be clear.
And being another teacher who had to read freshman writing, you guys need to understand 99% of the time, I can guarantee you she was not being picky. She was picking out the obvious things that you need to fix. She was probably being nice. So we'll improve on that. We'll continue to improve on that. All right, so I have a question that, maybe we've kind of talked about a little bit, but what was the funniest moment during your years teaching here at Portageville? The funniest moment?
I don't know if I've had one specific funny moment. Every day has something funny that goes on. It's one of the perks of being a teacher and working with teenagers. They're just funny. Sometimes they do funny things, and I love my job so much because I laugh every single day at something. So it's hard to pick out one specific funny moment because there are so many.
There you go.
That was a very, political answer.
So she's actually not leaving to become an English teacher at Malden. She's actually running for president.
Yes.
She's announcing now. Actually,
That's why she's on the podcast.
Let's say she's not old enough to run for president. I just realized.
That's true, yeah.
No, not quite.
She's running, and I'd have to work out the math on when that election would be, but whatever. 2028.
It's like it's like 3 more proms.
Yeah.
How teachers measure years. How many more proms you got?
So the next. Wait, did you ask the? Did I ask or did you ask?
You go ahead.
Okay, so this one, we can't say this student's name. He is still a student here. But he knows who he is if he's listening to this podcast, and I'm sure he will be. He says, your feelings on this student. So he'll know who he is.
Huh. Okay.
He's a sweet kid. He's just a little goofy sometimes.
There you go.
All right. I don't think that they understood that you were coming on the podcast because this question is, so can you tell us students who do not take ag what it is exactly?
That's gotta have been one.
Definitely not for me.
But so what is ag? Any idea?
What is an English?
Agricultural studies.
There you go. All right,
Whatever
but that
that
is a better
entails.
idea that Norman was pivoting to. What's English? What is English
Yeah.
in your opinion?
English is a combination of writing and reading and speaking and listening. I think it should be more aptly named communication.
Mm-hmm.
Because we teach you how to communicate with people in general, how to listen to people, how to respond to people, to think critically about what you see, what you read, what you hear. So I think it should be communication rather than just English.
I like communication. In my master's class, I've been taking classes that were like, what is English and all that fun stuff. And my favorite definition that I stumbled upon was inquiry and expression.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, we're reading, you're inquiring. Expression is the writing, expressing your thoughts. So inquiry and expression was the my favorite way that I've seen describe what quote-unquote ELA or English is.
And it sounds a lot more interesting than just English.
Yeah, it's fancy.
Well, and on top of that, like, one of my biggest questions was, like, you know, you can do all the stuff we do in English in French. You can do all the stuff we do in English in Japanese. It's just, why do we have to designate it as English? You got a question?
I do. So, we have... When will you have another baby?
Not for a long time. My one is a handful. So maybe when he's around 5, he's a little bit more independent then, but probably not for a while.
My favorite, because we got multiple ones of that. I think the other one I saw in the box was, are you leaving us because you're already secretly pregnant?
Definitely not.
Yeah. There's another one coming.
No.
All right. Here is the traditional one. Every guest gets the same question. What is your favorite car?
I have always, since I was a young, small toddler running around, I have always wanted a cherry red 64 and a half Mustang.
64 and a half.
Yes.
That is very specific, but the student who asked that question will know exactly the car you're talking about.
Yes. They're beautiful.
This is a new one, though. Who is your favorite race car driver?
I don't have one.
You don't have one.
I do not.
There we go. Do you have one, Mr. Dorn? We haven't answered this one.
Favorite race car driver?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Lightning McQueen. Oh, no, he's the car. No, I don't really. I've not watched much NASCAR, but this guy's going to be offended that I even said NASCAR. He watches Formula One.
Oh.
And so I'm not deep into the Formula One circuit.
Formula One seems like something that would be up your alley.
It is.
And I'm going to disappoint him because I'm going to answer NASCAR drivers. So my favorite all time was Sterling Martin, and then my favorite currently is Kyle Busch because he is the closest to Ricky Bobby that we can impressively find.
I should have said Ricky Bobby.
All right.
I'm just gonna say this one because it's not a question. It says, "Yeah." Thank you.
Okay then. I was hoping they wrote their name. That way I could be like, who actually did this? This one just says, we're going to miss you.
Oh.
And it's signed,
so
but we
kind.
can't say his name.
because
I'm gonna miss him too.
He's
if
a
he knows
nice
who he
kid,
is.
though. I believe that was actually our last.
Miss Brown question?
Yes, that was our last Miss Brown question. We, like I said, I didn't have the box out for as long as I would have liked because we just figured out that we were going to be able to get you on the podcast. But
if you have any additional questions for Miss Brown, you can email her at jbrown@malden.k12.mo.us.
Thank you so much.
yes, so feel free to ask her. I guess the closing out question here would just be, do you have anything you'd like to say to the students of Portageville? Any last final thoughts, things they need to know before you peace out?
I want every single one of you to know that even if I am not your teacher, I am rooting for you. I want you to do well in the world. When you get out there into the real world, I want you to succeed. And just whatever you choose to do, give it your best. If you succeed, if you fail, it's not a failure if you're doing the best that you can. Don't be too hard on yourself at times. And no matter what you do, just picture me rooting for you the whole time, because I am.
Well, there you go.
I think that's a great closer right there.
Indeed it is. And so until next time, my name's been Paul Davidson.
My name is, and Lord willing, will be Scott Norman.
And she's been...
Miss Brown.
And we've been two
Dumb white guys and a smart lady.